Then now let's take a look at some of the news stories that are making headlines around the globe. The Defense Headquarters says troops of Operation Hardin Kai in Northeast have eliminated more than 70 terrorists during a clearance operation at the renowned terrorist stronghold and enclave known as Timbuktu Triangle. Director Defense Media Operations Major General Edward Buba says troops recorded several encounters with terrorists during the three-pronged operation aimed at dismantling the terrorist presence within the triangle. While the operation also led to the death of 3 top terrorist commanders, sadly, 22 soldiers lost their lives in the operations. The DHQ says troops' morale remain high while efforts are in top gear to rid off terrorist threats within the triangle. Rufai, some good news, but bittersweet, I must say. Good news, but when we have combats like this, unfortunately, we also suffer some losses from the Nigerian side of things. But your take on this story this morning?
I mean, today I paid tribute to our very valiant and gallant soldiers that lost their lives, in the line of duty. 22 is no joke. And, we just want to try as much as possible to put ourselves in the shoes of their families, their loved ones, their parents, their husbands, their wives, and all of them. And we just pray for the repose of those great souls. They died on the fields of Nigeria fighting for the furtherance of our nation and for the vitality of the people of the northern part of Nigeria. We will never forget their service, and may their souls rest in peace. Secondly, we'd like to beg. I know there's a lot of citizen journalism going on because of the proliferation and liberalization of media through social media. Please, even if you have the details of this one that have passed, do not release until the military makes contact with their family. We'll beg. It is not a good thing for family members to discover on the pages of newspaper that their loved ones, or online social media, that their loved ones had passed in the military. Let them do it the way they do it, so that we'll be able, to get some closure. And we just pray for healing for them at a time like this. Thirdly, it's a good one that we have the military creating an assault in that Timbuktu Triangle. We've always talked about the Timbuktu Triangle. And this is also part of a couple of wins the military have had in recent time. You remember how they chased after,
Bello
Tuji, and they killed the son and other people close to him. So in areas like that, we're excited about what the military is doing. What we just want them to do is to constantly dislodge these people so that their lives can return. When you look at the area at which they fight, the Borno area, this is the size of many European countries put together. And today you can't have farming activities. The farmers can barely breathe. People can barely breathe because of the insecurity. The northern part of this country that used to be a prominent part of the food belt spread over 600,000 square kilometers of land that has been greatly hampered because of this insurgence and insecurity. And that's why we must bring it to an end. And we salute our great military for doing all of this great work.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Abati.
Okay, 2 major encounters over the weekend involving the Nigerian military in theaters of operation. First, there was the ambush, the surprise attack on the 149 Battalion in Malame Faturi area of Borno State, the border with Niger, where officers were killed, including the sector commander, after 2 hours of engagement with forces belonging to Boko Haram and the Islamic West African Force, the ISWAP, of the Islamic West African Province Forces. And then, of course, we lost men in that particular encounter. The second one is the one that is now frontally reported by the newspapers about another encounter under Operation Hardin Kai, in which we lost officers, 22 of them, but the Defense Headquarters Information Department, through Major General Edward Buba, tells us that 70 of the assailants were decimated. Now, what this tells us is that despite the fact that the Nigerian government keeps saying, well, we're winning the war, we're making progress, there are challenges that are still emerging, either with Operation Adingari or with other operations, or at the border between Nigeria and Niger. But I think it's important that, our soldiers remain committed. These are persons, we keep saying, that have committed to die for Nigeria, if it comes to that, while the rest of us are sleeping in our air-conditioned rooms. It is also quite, frustrating that this is coming just within a few days after Nigeria celebrated the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. January 15 is Armed Forces Remembrance Day, a day devoted to the remembrance of fallen heroes and also the living gallant soldiers that are still doing everything possible to protect this country. In other words, soldiering, it's about chivalry. It's about the sacrifice that other people make so that this country can remain together as one and remain safe. And, people who wear ties and bow ties can feel a sense that they are in a safe country. So that's why every president that comes along salutes the gallantry of our soldiers, and also talks about the welfare of soldiers. And that is why we keep saying the welfare of soldiers is very important, because the work that they do is a very dangerous one. They die so that others can live. Now, the point made by Major General Edward Buba is about, the media not reporting the names of casualties. Again, it's a two-way thing. The media will not report the names of casualties on the military side if nothing comes from the Nigerian Army or the Defense Headquarters. They cannot manufacture the names. But the moral point that is making is important. It's not good for any family to read that their breadwinner or their family member died, on the war front, on the pages of a newspaper. That's not the protocol in other places, other parts of the world. The family will have to be informed first. And I think Major General Edward Buba, should also realize that journalists are intelligent enough to understand that very simple point. The bigger point is the underlying point, the subsexual point, is that the Nigerian military, the armed forces, the security establishment, is always saying that, look, the Nigerian media should always realize that they also have a stake in ensuring national security. Ensuring national security will include managing information, knowing what is fit for purpose, what is the right thing for the people to know without compromising national security. And that's why I align with the point that has been made again and again, that the Nigerian military and the security establishment have to always work together to make sure that on both sides, our commitment to the survival of Nigeria, that we are all on the same page. It's not about one group giving instructions to the other. Don't do this, don't do that. No, we are not servants of the Nigerian military establishment. We are partners, we are collaborators. And that, I think, should be the line, that military defense headquarters spokesmen should follow. No journalist will just go and publish a name if, that name is not out there. But we get the moral point that we have to respect the dignity of the fallen officers and also, the feelings of the affected families, as we commiserate with all the families of the affected officers.
Well, absolutely. This morning, I'd actually like to focus on the officers. 70 terrorists killed, including 3 leaders, mentioned in the reports in the papers this morning. However, the 22 soldiers who have lost their lives, as has already been talked about, the reason why they would not be mentioned yet, just in respect to their families and also to respect the dead as well. But this is why we consistently advocate for the welfare of our troops. When we look at how much, we evaluate how much sacrifice they have to pay in the line of duty, then it's never enough to talk about how it's important for us to look after them and also to take care of their loved ones when they are gone. I think this is the highest honor and regard we can pay to them. Yes, we celebrate the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, and this is just so that we are consistently aware and have a day set, allocated to really celebrating them. These men went out and were able to neutralize 70 of these terrorists, and all in a bid to ensure that we're able to restore the North, particularly the Northeast, to some semblance of sanity. I went to Borno State about 2 years ago, and I was able to see the efforts that the army has made in ensuring that peace and normalcy is restored in the community. I had the opportunity to speak to some of the local residents, and they were full of praises for the military and said that they were happy that they were present, and he gave them some form of comfort and a measure of security to see them there as they were able to now, shops were open, markets had begun to be open, businesses had started running again. So we cannot overemphasize the importance that they make. So let me just talk very quickly about 30 seconds about when we had the interview with some of the army officers who were initially, who were initially discharged but now have been pardoned. That let's talk about the equipment. Part of the welfare is to ensure that when they go out there, they are well equipped. I was glad to see, with regards to the reports, that they were able to understand, with regards to intelligence gathering, the modus operandi of these terrorists, how they would use IEDs, they will self-implode, and they were able to really control that. They talked about the amateur drones that they used and how the army was able to resist them in combat. These are the kind of stories we want to hear. So further down the line, I'm hoping that we would really respect the 22 who have lost their lives by looking after their families and the loved ones that they've left behind. Our commiserations, but also congratulations to the efforts made by the army so far in pushing back and terminating the efforts of terrorists in the Northeast. I'm moving away from this story. Let's go on to another story here in Nigeria. Former President Muhammadu Buhari and Goodluck Jonathan yesterday added their voices to the horde of tributes that have poured in for ThisDay newspapers as it marks its 30th anniversary on the newsstands. Buhari described the formation of ThisDay newspaper, now 30 since its debut, as a national monument and one of the most notable landmarks in the growth and development of the press in Nigeria, while Jonathan characterized the newspaper as a leading voice in the country's journalism. Buhari contended that the most adorable thing about ThisDay is that it doesn't keep malice against individuals, institutions, and governments. Also, Jonathan described ThisDay as a paper that has greatly enriched Nigeria's media landscape and contributed so much towards strengthening its democracy. Meanwhile, the much-awaited ThisDay Awards in commemoration of the newspaper's 3 decades on the stands takes place today, with legendary singer Diana Ross arriving in Lagos yesterday. The red carpet for the awards, billed to take place at the Eko Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, is expected to commence at 5 p.m. This is not the first time Ross will be headlining the ThisDay Awards. In 2007, at the Muson Center, she equally honored the newspaper's invitation to headline the 12th edition of the award at the time. All right, I love this news for a Monday morning, Rufai, the much-awaited day for the ThisDay Awards. We celebrated already today, Dr. Abati Rufai. So it's really great to see this really happening and to see notes. We saw the pictures. She's arrived. She's on ground. She's in Nigeria. The one and only Diana Ross. But what's your take on this?
We're going to party on Monday night party. I mean, and anytime we do it big. But we're really grateful to the 2 former presidents, what they have said as regards, ThisDay. And I think it's very apt, what, the first speaker did say, where he said we don't keep malice.
Yeah, that's former President Buhari.
President Buhari. Yeah. And it's very apt because actually here, we have no grain of animus against anybody here. And I must say that not because I work here, but because I know here. And when I say I know here, there's a difference between working somewhere and knowing the place. There's never any time we've had anybody here tell us, attack this person. This person is your enemy now. Never. It has always been fair, being objective. Yes, we have ethos that we follow here, which is about free market. We are pro-free market here. And we are pro, the enhancement of free market. We're pro-democracy. we're pro the sovereignty of our country. That's why you cannot hear us here saying anything that will be tantamount to destroying the sovereignty of our country. But it's not about individuals. It's about the collective and making our country a whole lot better. So I'm happy he did say that, because at a time where a lot of people thought, oh, you were against the Buhari administration. No, you people pick sides. No, we've got no animus. And with President Goodluck Jonathan saying we'll set the pace, yes, 30 years is no joke. There are many newspapers out there that has not, been able to stand the heat of the market. It's not a case to be able to be triumphalist, but it's to say that it's the resilience that keeps us going at a time like this. And when we need to speak truth to power, we will do. Where we need to commend government, we will do. And that's our work. So let's party tonight. ThisDay, we wanna party.
All right, okay, before Rufai gets out of it, because I know you cannot wait, we still have a few hours to go before then. Dr. Abati, your take on this?
Okay, well, President Buhari and President Jonathan, they're very right. Other persons in the country, including President Tinubu, have sent, words of congratulations, messages of support and encouragement. And all the things they have said are perfectly in order. The ThisDay Arise News Group, over the years, have contributed first and foremost to literacy and education, to defending the voiceless in society, providing information. Part of the function, by the way, of journalism, to educate the public. And these have been very veritable platforms for public education. It was Thomas Jefferson, I think, who said, if I were to be given the option of a country without newspapers and newspapers without a country, I would choose the option of having newspapers without a country, to emphasize the importance. So everybody, every investor who goes into that space to educate the people and empower the people must be regarded as a titan, as an icon. And to that extent, I see the ThisDay Arise News Group, as a form of salute to creativity, which Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was referring to when our award was presented to her, in Davos, during the World Economic Forum. What many people do not realize is that Nduka Obaibena is not just a graphic artist, he's a creative person. And he has demonstrated that either in terms of design or the selection of teams or in the liberalism with which he runs this media enterprise. I think that liberalism is too much, but that's not what I've been asked to talk about. So today, this evening, again, the media will be performing one of its major functions, celebrating the tough and resilient. Those people who have shown us possibilities within the Nigerian society, those people who show us the way forward, those people who, by their examples, inspire the Nigerian populace, young and old. And those are the persons to be celebrated. But for the icing on the cake, the group has invited Diana Ross, who is another icon, an icon of all icons. 80-year-old Diana Ross, the leading vocalist in the Supremes that reigned in the 60s. In 1970, she left and had a solo career. And even in her solo career, with over, 20 or 2 million or whatever number of hits, she became a major icon in the industry. How many, well, maybe you are not part of my generation, but I remember Upside Down. You tell me that you love me, and I'm coming out. You know that? Okay, this is the point. When you are talented, you are eternal. Yeah. Because artistry, is something for the ages. And so this evening, this group is going to bring an icon. Winner of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, 2 times recognition on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Diana Ross. Most of us, even younger people, who were born after, when were you born? I was probably a graduate. You know, so that shows you that, you know, this evening is going to be very big, really big. You know, and I just say congratulations to all the winners and also the organization that has made this possible.
Well, in the words of Diana Ross, we're coming out tonight, we're coming out in full force, and it's definitely worth celebrating. In the words of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, ThisDay newspaper is a national monument, and as a result of this, it must be protected at all costs. I think over the years, they have proven their mettle as sitting and having that opportunity to hold on to that accolade, a national monument, and just being able to, you know, very importantly, chiefly, interested, pursuing nation building and have continued to do so. And I think when you've worked really hard, yes, the reward for hard work is more work. But before we go into more work, let's party a little, let our head down and really celebrate and all those who've worked really hard on the back for such great work that has been done. Diana Ross is headlining, so there'll be other artists as well. I believe you can watch here on Arise News. For those who did not have the opportunity to get the invitation cards, you can watch everything live here on Arise News. We're bringing you all the footage, everything happening there today. But congratulations, we're looking forward to a spectacular, monumental evening celebrating ThisDay at 30.